Just got done doing the last training session before the marathon tomorrow. 22 hours from now, I'm gonna be running the Bukit Known International Marathon, and I thought before the race, before I get the results, so I don't not result oriented, rather focus on the process itself. I'll do a little bit of like looking back at the training phase for the marathon. Um, so so yeah, my original goal was 3:30, which doesn't sound like that high of a goal, especially like when you look at I was putting it in here earlier. It's just where is the YouTube? So I was looking at my calculated VO max times. It's not actually the best. My best time for this would be 5K. I've done 19:26, so I could use that and it would give me a higher VO2 max. But I'll use the 10K time. It's more applicable probably. So my record in 10K is 41:50. That would extrapolate to marathon at about 3:13. But the route on Bukit Known International Marathon is a little bit more difficult, and also I didn't have time to like I decided to take on this challenge and kind of like late notice. So I only had about 6 weeks to train. Obviously I was training before that, but I was doing just a maintenance load of about 50 kilometers a week, and then I tried to like crank it up in a very short time to 100-kilometer weeks, and I managed to do 200-kilometer weeks, but the but the build-up was too fast, and I think I have a stress fracture now on my foot. It's not gonna be a problem for the race, but obviously I'm gonna have to like have a break afterwards. But yeah, let's talk about like, so my original goal was 3:30 for the marathon, but I did a test race 3 weeks out, ran 35 kilometers because I wanted to find out like what kind of a heart rate can I sustain. Like, can I sustain about 145 average for the whole route? And I managed to do it to an extent. I was pretty fatigued at the end. I did 3:15, 35 kilometers. So yeah, that would seem like, okay, 3:30 is completely hopeless. I could have probably done sub 4 hour that day if I just completed the final 7 kilometers, but obviously I didn't. I decided not to do that. It was just a test race to 35. Just to test out like what kind of heart rate can I sustain, and practicing the hydration part, because I don't usually drink anything when I'm doing my runs. So all of that is a factor in a marathon distance, whereas in a shorter distance it wouldn't be a factor. Marathon is kind of its own thing, whereas anything half marathon and shorter, you can kind of just go run, and you don't like you can probably do the whole distance, and you can just run fast. But yeah, so yeah, it's a hard route that we have, and obviously I only had 6 weeks to prepare, so I'm not in a peak shape, and also like that the training phase was kind of hampered in the end. Like I couldn't like really nail the six. Like six is very short, so you'd think like you have to really nail it. I think I did too much slow volume compared to fast volume. But I don't know. It's a like something that I don't know exactly how to balance for marathon distance, because marathon is obviously a longer distance. You're running much slower than you would on a shorter distance run. One thing that I did kind of alright at was lifting. I did lose strength, but I was managing to getting good lifting workouts despite all the volume, and I don't think I lost that much strength. Like I think I can catch up pretty fast. Once I start lifting more. But yeah, let's look at the route a little, so you'll understand like why I find it so difficult. I mean, in fact, you can just look at the graph and you probably get what I mean. So the run starts here. We run down here, and then we run back here, and then finally back here. And you can see from this portion on to here is this part in the graph. So it's a very steady climb Total ascent 560 meters. I don't know exactly how much that's gonna affect time, but it's obviously like from 17 kilometers to 30ish. You're gonna be climbing and climbing, so it's like it's really gonna like I think it's gonna cook a lot of because even on a flat ground, 30 kilometers is where the marathon would start to get really hard anyway. Now the good thing is that after it gets really difficult, as long as you just tough out this part here, you get to kind of glide to the end like on a downhill. My 10K time was actually on the same route, so that's why it was also like better time to use for estimating the time. But obviously, if I was anywhere near my peak, I could do like I could do my better time than the 3:30 that I was targeting originally. So, but after that test race, I decided like, okay, 3:40 is the new target. Because I believed, I had still 3 weeks time to practice, and that was the most intense period of practice that I had at that point. So I think I built up some fitness then, and I'm obviously like better recovered now. I've the stress fracture kind of forced me to like taper earlier than I would have originally wanted, but it's probably good because I'm more recovered thanks to it. Like it's normal to taper for a couple of weeks, but I personally usually only taper for like just at the last minute basically. So it gave me more time to recover, but so yeah, I expect to do have a chance at least to hit that 3:40. 3:30 is obviously like probably impossible. 3:50, I think that's fairly certain to hit, and I think sub 4 hours is basically 100% unless something goes terribly wrong. But yeah, did I have anything else to like here to say? But yeah, another thing, one final thing was like also why I decided to go for a slower target is because I'm not very experienced with marathon distance. In fact, I've never run a marathon. This is actually my first marathon distance run. To be fair, I've done 2 ultra marathons, so it's not like actually like first. But let's talk about those past. Like so, 2019, after my fight, a week after my fight, I decided to do the Campbell ultra marathon then, with basically no practice whatsoever. And that still to this day is the longest distance that I've been running straight. So I ran the first 40 kilometers, I ran straight, and then I walked the rest of the way because my leg was pretty busted. Though in hindsight, I should have just kept running because the leg was still hurting just the same, even though I was walking. So and the last 10 kilometers took like 2 hours because of that, whereas I could have ran it one. So I just suffered longer basically. Then second time I did an ultra marathon was like a virtual run in 2021. Again, I couldn't complete the run. Like I completed the 50, but I only ran. So I ran until 27 kilometers, and then my other thigh started cramping, and then okay, I toughed through it. I kept running, and then my other side started cramping too 1 kilometer later. So it's like I was basically dealing with cramps the whole last 20 kilometers. So it was another 50 kilometer ultra marathon. So yeah, the practice run 35 kilometers that I did was the longest run I've done in like since that ultra marathon in 2019. So I'm more experienced with like shorter distance. Obviously, like shorter distance records are much more optimized, much closer to what I actually like peak of what I actually could achieve. Obviously, my long-term goal is to like hit sub 40 in 10K, but right now I'm nowhere near that shape. So that wouldn't be even like that would be pointless to even try at the moment. But yeah, I touched on the metrics a little. The lifting, the strength has gone down a little bit, and that's always a thing that happens when you're in a deficit and doing more cardio. That tends to happen. It's really hard to like just manage to keep the strength. At least I've not managed to completely nail it. I didn't lose a lot of strength, to be fair, but a little bit. Speaking of weight loss, I have lost a little weight, but I was expecting to be like 77 point something for the race, but I actually didn't lose that much weight, so I'm 78.3 this morning. I'm probably gonna be staying around that weight for the race day 2, which is tomorrow, of course. And so yeah, I'm a little heavier than I would have liked to be, but like I didn't consciously like try to lose weight. I was just eating normally and trying to avoid like junk food. So I mean, I don't know. It's I still lost about a couple of kilos from the bulk end, or my bulk ended at around 80 to 81. So I mean, I've lost 2-3 kilos depending on what you consider the starting point. So yeah, all in all, I don't know. My resting heart rate is still in mid 40s. So it seems like the base just didn't come completely. Like when I was in the peak shape last year, my resting heart rate was mid 30s. So I didn't quite get there. That would have probably required a longer time, longer training phase, and like not just more volume, but especially more high intensity volume. I think. Like that's pretty much the only thing that's lacking, because I did quite a bit of like the lower intensity stuff, so I think that foundation is there. It was enough. Obviously it was enough because my I'm so injured right now, but you know it's luckily just like an annoying injury, not like a debilitating one. So yeah, I mean going forward, I'm gonna have to have a few weeks off, and then if I decide to start running again, I'm gonna have to build it up more patiently. Like I was really pushing on the edge. Like the typical rule is like around 10% a week. Like I was going a little bit over that to like really get cranked to that 100-kilometer weeks as fast as I could, and you know I didn't really cross train much. I should have done more boxing. I should have done. I should have trained on the grass more. I should have been doing some like runs on the grass to save my, you know, to reduce the impact a little bit. But yeah, I didn't do that, but it's not too bad. Luckily, I'm still like hopeful that I can hit my target tomorrow. But we'll see. My last real run a few days ago, I did like a single kilometer at my target heart rate. Marathon race target. So I did the test run at 145. I decided to, okay, that's a little high. I'm gonna try to run the race a little bit lower, 140. So at that average heart rate, I could manage the sub 5-minute kilometer. So that's fast enough to hit 340 quite at ease. But obviously the hard part is like, can I still do 5-minute kilometers after like 30 kilometers? Like so it's like it's gonna slow down. It's gonna like the heart rate is gonna creep up as the race proceeds, and obviously there's a big risk of having to deal with cramps. I didn't like the test run, the 35 kilometers. I managed to avoid cramps that time, but there is no guarantees that I managed to avoid them tomorrow. But I mean, I'm pretty well hydrated right now, and I expect to be much better equipped to deal with the dehydration. But you know, nothing's guaranteed. Like the fact that simply being able to run the whole distance would be already like great for me. I have no like target for placement. I honestly have no idea how I should be placing, because in my last half marathon I was 6th. In my last 10K race I was 5th. But they're both small events. This is a big event, so there's like I think there's hundreds of runners in the half marathon alone. So I have no idea. Like again, and you would expect for an event like that, a lot of actual competent runners show up. So I have no idea like what kind of a position I could expect. Maybe top 50 would be probably very good already. I don't know. I honestly have no idea. But like I said, the time is the key. The only thing that I want to like, only thing I care about is setting a respectable personal best for myself, and you know, I can then in the future improve on it. I don't know if I can ever do sub 3 hour for like could that be a long term goal? let's look at the VO2 max calculator. Let's just play around with it a little to finish this video. So let's see. So my 5K is actually 1926. So if I took few seconds off that and peaked, that would make it theoretically possible to do marathon in 3:05. So let's see what it says. I would need to get to about 53.6 VO2 max to hit sub 3 hours theoretically. So, but you know, this calculator is like not like fully accurate. But I mean, safe to say that I would not only do I need to run sub 40 10K, I need to be running sub 39 4K 10K to have a chance for the 3-hour marathon. So that's still far away. I don't know if that's gonna be, but I mean, it's pointless to really think about it now because that's like far in the future, like next year maybe. This year I don't think I'm gonna. My plan is to do maybe a couple of half marathons, but in the end of the year. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Obviously, I'm gonna have to build up more running specific fitness. But yeah, I mean that's just like my review. That's just my review of the training phase. Overall, C minus. You know, got injured. Didn't manage to quite hit the cardio to the level that I would have wanted. But you know, I'm not overtrained. I didn't lose a ton of strength, so there's little silver linings there. Overall, I mean, not entirely happy, but it's still progress overall. I think, and it gives me a reasonable chance to like you know, considering the route, 3:40 would be a very respectable time, I think. I don't know, like maybe I should like ask like AI or something, like how much does it affect? I should just use the XI. No, stupid. Oh, never mind. I'll maybe ask it afterwards and add like a note of it somehow. But like it does make it difficult. So if I hit 3:40 tomorrow, it's probably equivalent of sub 3:30 maybe on like sea level and flatter ground. Malabala is in 600 meters elevation to start with, so and then we climb 600 meters, almost 600 meters on top of that. So we'll be over 1 kilometer elevation at the highest. Or actually no, I'm wrong. Let me just show this again. So here at the start we're at 600 and it's at top at 900, but because we go down here first, there is like a big ascent after that. So that's what confused me. So the Dalwangan where we turn is about 900 meter elevation. So, but still, that's not like a massive elevation, but it's still enough to like there is less oxygen. It's gonna have an effect, especially if you're not used to it. Of course, I am used to it because I live here. This is like already familiar area for me. But you know, if you're someone coming out of town, like what happened in my fight, I'm pretty sure it's not just me pushing the pace when I had my fight that gassed out my opponent so fast. I'm pretty sure it was also because he was coming from sea level and you know, it's a shock to your system to have less oxygen, so a little bit less oxygen than normally. So he ran out of breath. But yeah, let's just see tomorrow how it goes. I'm obviously gonna make a post about the race afterwards, but I mean I think the process can be still like for me it's important to also like assess how the process is going itself, the process itself aside the result, and pretty reasonably happy with the lifting, but not so. And the running volume, it got there, but it was too fast, obviously, and that hampered the end of the preparation. But and I obviously didn't hit the kind of metrics that I would have wanted. But it's all right. It's not terrible. Um, I'm still in pretty good shape right now, and it's a good foundation to work off for the later part of the year, so long as I manage to heal my injuries afterwards. So long as this doesn't become like a persistent issue, which is of course a danger, especially with my age. Like I don't I'm at that age where I don't know. Like this could be the last year where I hit my prime shape, and I can't like replicate it anymore. Hopefully not. Hopefully there's still many more prime years left. But I mean, I'm always like, I figure the way it ends is where I just hit like a string of injuries, and because of age, and then I can just keep it up. But like right now, I'm still very optimistic. Um, nurse this injury and still stay in good shape, and then get back to it in a few weeks. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe you'll have some comments like how you would have done the training. Maybe you have some experience to share about how you've prepared for marathons before, or other long runs, or other races, or endurance contests. Would be glad to hear them in the comment section. Obviously, if you're interested in this kind of content, hit the subscription, and yeah, I'm gonna report back on the Bukit Known International Marathon in the coming days. Thanks for watching.